So Titanic was re-released in theaters the same way Avatar was, and today I am going to talk about it. I saw this in 3D and I thought it was awesome. And I think I'm wanting to review this movie because of the fact that my experience watching it was interesting. Because I saw this movie years ago, I've been a fan of it. I haven't seen it in like a really ridiculously long time. I have an old VHS collector set. Right. I clearly loved this movie, but it was like I haven't seen it in so long that when I saw this was happening, I was like, yes, definitely, I want to go see that on the big screen. Took my grandma, we went to go watch it. Watched it in 3D, and so that's the other part of it too. If it wasn't James Cameron like remastering and doing this 3D or something like that, I don't know how much I would have been interested. But because it's James Cameron, like upgrading his own movie, which he's amazing at. He's not like a George Lucas or whatever, where he starts altering and changing his movies to the point where he destroys them. He actually enhances them. And so when I went to go watch this movie in 3D, I was like, okay, yeah, this is awesome, right? But I I was super interested in it, but my thought was like watching it. I was waiting for that moment. That moment because this movie is such a like piece of 90s pop culture. It was the highest grossing movie of all time when it came out. Now it's only the fourth highest grossing movie of all time, probably soon to be the fifth highest grossing movie of all time. But you know what I mean? Like you see that and you're like, okay, I see why this is a thing, you know. But when I was watching it, I was like, all right, when's the moment that this is gonna feel like a '90s movie? Where that moment where it's gonna be feel a little bit dated. And not a single moment of this movie ever felt like that whatsoever. I mean, it was just beautiful. And that was like shocking to me. I was like, wow. You watch this movie, especially in the 3D, you watch it and you go, this movie could have been made today. There's not a single aspect of this movie that's dated at all, from the tone to the atmosphere. It's just nothing. The only thing that's a little bit dated is seeing Leonardo DiCaprio so young, but that's not so much dated. That's just the fact that he was so ridiculously young that he doesn't look like the Leonardo DiCaprio you think of now, you know. But other than that, this dude is amazing. So I think that's what's interesting about this movie is just like that. You got this beautiful score that is so haunting and uplifting at several points without the movie. And I think what's great about this movie is it's split into two very different movies, but also movies that connect to each other really, really well. And the first half is Jack and Rose fall in love. You see the hopeful and the optimism of all the people on this boat, and what that means for future prosperities and things like that. And then you see the second half of this movie where that boat hits that iceberg, and you know what happens. Every people died, boat sinks. You know what I mean? But that's what's beautiful about that part of the movie is like, wow, you see all that happen, but you have this beautiful score and that beautiful direction that makes these parts flow together really well. And that boat sinking scene is some of the best parts of the movie because James Cameron is so great at directing action scenes like that. It's weird to think of them like action scenes, but when they're clearly running from the water the way they are, it feels like something out of Avatar or something like that. And it's so well done. And you get a lot of beautiful cinematography in this movie. Uh, Leonardo DiCaprio is so good in this movie. He's a standout because in the movie, like, he plays this character that is just so utterly likable and plays such a good facade in this movie. And it's so interesting and well put together. I mean, because when this guy's saying stuff in the movie, you're like sitting there watching him going, I know you're full of shit, but I'd like to believe that you're true. Even though at the end of the day, the dude's a good natured, good person, and that's what's beautiful about it. It's just powerful. It's a beautiful love story, and it's just tragedy. It's just a lot of great things about it. the costume design and the set design, how everything looks in this movie is immaculate. It's just an incredible movie, and I'm sure most of you people have heard this before, or you've thought it yourself watching the film. But it's still like something that's worth reiterating, considering the fact that I think in recent years Titanic's been got these people going like, oh, it's overrated, they don't get it, or they've been like more. I think because it's had that highest grossing film thing to it, just like Avatar. That you get all these people like it's overrated, didn't really leave an impact, no one cares about this movie. But I think it definitely is a powerful movie that still holds up and is definitely one of the greatest films ever made because the achievements made within this film. I watching it, I was thinking like, because I used to say it was overrated. I was watching it going, no, there's very few films that achieve what this film did and how it did it. And it's hard to explain what that those achievements are without you just watching the movie and just feeling and watching. It's a beautiful movie and one of the best of all time.